Same sign, add and keep, different signs subtract. Take the sign of the larger number, then you'll be exact.
Whoa, who's that dude? I don't know, but today I'm going to teach you how to add and subtract integers. When you're adding integers, you have two different scenarios that might happen. Either you have the same sign, meaning they're both positive. Well, we all know how to do that, so I'm not even going to teach you that one. Or when they're both negative. And you kind of do the same thing in both of those cases if you have the same sign. And then the other example that could happen is when there are different signs, meaning one is positive while the other one's negative. Positive and negative. Okay, so adding integers with the same sign, that just means two numbers that we're adding that are both negative. They have the same sign. In the song, it says to add and keep. Another way of saying that I use to help students remember is that a negative plus a negative, you're just getting a bigger negative. You're going more negative. So it makes sense that you add the two numbers together, but you keep that negative sign because it's a bigger negative. Here are three examples, starting with -3 plus -4. So you're getting a bigger negative. So 3 plus 4 is 7. And it's a bigger negative, it's still 7. So -7. Okay, -16 plus -32. We want to add them together because it's going to get bigger. So 16 plus 32 is 48, but it's a bigger negative, so -48. And then the last one, we're going to add them together because we get a bigger negative. And 17 plus 5 is 22, but it's a bigger negative, so -22. Now we will be adding integers that have different signs. So one is positive and one is negative. In that song, it says, different signs subtract, but keep the sign of the larger number. I also like to think of this as tug of war. If you have a positive number and a negative number playing tug of war, the bigger number is going to win. So if it's a bigger negative, your final answer will be negative. But if the positive is the bigger one, then your final answer will be positive. And after you determine that, you just have to find the difference between the two numbers. Okay, here are three examples where we have integers of different signs. Let's look at this first one, 4 plus -9. Which one's bigger, 4 or 9? Well, obviously 9 is, and since 9 is negative, negative wins the tug of war. So the bigger one wins the tug of war, it's a negative, so your final answer is negative. And then you find the difference, or you subtract. And 9 minus 4 is 5, but your final answer is -5. Okay, now -22 plus 35. Ignore negative and just look at 35 and 22. 35 is the bigger number and it's positive, so it wins the tug of war. Your final answer is positive. And now you just have to think, well, what is 35 minus 22? What's the difference? Well, it is 13. So your final answer is a positive 13. And then the last one, -14 plus 6. Which one wins the tug of war? The 14 does, which is negative, so your final answer is negative. And now you just subtract what is 14 minus 6, and that is 8. So your final answer is -8. Now we're going to talk about how to subtract integers. The cool thing about subtracting integers is you can just change it back to an addition problem and follow the rules we've already learned. But how do you change it to addition? You add the opposite. So you change the subtraction sign to an addition sign, but then you have to change that second number to its opposite. Our first three examples will be subtracting a positive, which means the second number in each one of these examples is a positive. But we want to change it to addition by adding the opposite. And here's what I mean by adding the opposite. We can do this for all of them. First, you change it to addition, but you have to change the second number from a positive to a negative. Change it from a positive to a negative. Add the opposite. So now we have three different addition problems, and we're going to use the rules from before. Let's look at this first one. Negative 14 plus negative 9. We have the same sign. Negative plus a negative gives us a bigger negative. Same sign, add and keep. So our final answer we know will be negative, and then you just have to do 14 plus 9, which is 23. So negative 23. Okay, the middle one, now that it's been changed, we have different signs. We have a positive 27 and a negative 43, so we have to do tug of war. Which one's bigger? 43 is bigger, and it's negative, so my final answer is negative. And now we have to subtract. So this time we're going to do 43 minus 27. What is the difference between 43 and 27? It is 16, which means our final answer is negative 16. And then the last one, negative 20 plus a negative 51. Same signs. Negative plus a negative is a bigger negative. So what is 51 plus 20? Well, it is 71. So negative 71 is our answer. Here are our last three examples of the lesson, except this time we're subtracting a negative number. So we're still subtracting, but that just means that the second number in each example is negative. But we're still going to add the opposites. We are going to change all of these to addition, and then change the second number to its opposite. So change it to addition, and then now instead of a negative, it's a positive. Change it to addition, instead of a negative, it's a positive. Change it to addition, instead of a negative, it's a positive, and now we can follow the rules of addition. Negative 14 plus 9. Let me rewrite it so it looks a little cleaner. Negative 14 plus 9. Different signs. So we have to do tug of war. Negative 14 wins, so my final answer is negative. And then 14 minus 9 is 5. Negative 5. Now over here, after we added the opposite, we have 12 plus 68. No negatives at all, so this is really easy. 12 plus 68 is 80. And now the last one, after we added the opposite, we have negative 98 plus 70. And these are different signs. We have to play tug of war. Negative 98 wins, so my final answer is negative. And now I have to do 98 minus 70, which is 28. So my final answer is negative 28. So there you go. You now know how to add and subtract integers. Good luck with the lesson.